Knowles on the News. Susan Knowles.
Thank you for joining me today on Knowles on the News. And please join us at Spreaker.com and look for Stand for Truth Radio and follow me there. It's a segment that I do on Stand for Truth Radio called Knowles on the News that you're hearing me today on. And I need your support. I would love to have you join there and follow me on Spreaker.com and to tell people about what it is that we do. And if you can't remember Stand for Truth Radio, just type in Susan Knowles at Spreaker.com and you'll be right there and have everything that everybody else does. You know, I wanted to talk to you a little bit today. I don't know about you, but I sometimes feel that you and I are going through some of the very similar things. And I wanted to talk to you about social media and how bad social media is becoming and how I fear that civility and respect may be already gone, but is certainly on its way out and maybe, as I said, maybe already there. I remember a time when, and I know this is long ago and this sounds so ancient, but when people were respectful to each other, when, you know, men especially would be so respectful of women. And I say that, especially our military men, they were so respectful to women, even if they disagreed with them, even if they thought the women didn't know what they were talking about, on and on. They were so respectful. And I'm starting to see a change in that. And it's not only in some veterans or some military, because that would be an unfair statement. But I guess what I'm doing is I'm using as a gauge to what our society, where we're at, when I see the military and veterans start to change, then I know that we're seriously in trouble because veterans in the military have always, again, been highly civil and highly respectful. And when I see some changing and no longer being as respectful as they once were, then I really know that we are in a decline. And it, you know, again, when I go on social media, and I know you feel this way too, it's becoming a place where people just take out all of their anger and frustration on whoever. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you believe. It's just a place for many people to just let you have it. Because they've been carrying around this anger. They're not happy with this or that. And they just double barrel you, as they say, whenever you say something. It's just like they're looking for a trigger so that they can just jump down your throat. And it's getting to be where I hate sometimes to go on Twitter and try to have a conversation with somebody because people don't want to have a conversation. They don't want to have a civil conversation for the most part. And of course, as I said, that's not everybody. But it is beginning to be more so than not. And I'm going beyond the election. Now, the election is bad enough. People are just berating each other like crazy over the election, not even caring that there's going to be a day after the election. That doesn't matter. It's like we're going to the finish line. We're going to drag you with us or we're going to drag you away from us. One way or the other. It's black and white. There is no gray area. I mean, that is bad enough. That is the worst I've ever seen it. I'm talking about just in general. I don't care what subject you're talking about. People seem to be looking for a fight. And, you know, I don't get it. It's such a waste of time. What happened to genuine and honest debate? What happened to allowing people to have an opinion without personally attacking them? And you know what I'm talking about. You've seen groups where there's a whole bunch of followers on a person's timeline, and if you say something, the people in the group are going to come after you. I mean, they have no idea what you're talking about. They haven't read anything else that you've put down. They haven't followed the conversation. They're just ready for a fight. And it's kind of, I think a lot of people let the followers go to their heads. They think, well, I'm a person that I have a large following, and we're just going to do whatever we want to. Again, not thinking about you're talking to another human being with a family, with feelings. You don't know that person. You have no idea who that person is, what they believe, what their life has been. Nothing. You have no idea. And yet, you're basically there judging them as though you know exactly who they are. And I've had people who will say to me, well, you've never walked a day in my shoes, or you don't know X, Y, and Z, when, unbeknownst to them, I have had the same thing, or I have gone through the same thing. Clearly, no one can walk in anybody else's shoes. But people who are saying you've never walked a day in my shoes don't realize that you're saying that to the other person as well. That you're saying you've never walked a day in my shoes, well, then you've never walked a day in mine. It's the same thing. It comes right back at you when you say that to somebody. Because, again, clearly, no one can walk in anybody else's shoes. It's never going to happen. But I think people fail to realize, we always sit here and we talk about how bad Black Lives Matter is because they don't want to hear anything that you have to say. They really don't. It's either you follow along, you get in the groove with the rest of the group, or get out of here, and we're going to come into your restaurants and we're going to berate you while you're trying to eat because you're, a certain skin color. That's their thing. And they turn people off because they are so in your face, so derogatory, so angry. And I'm seeing more and more of that on Twitter just from different groups. There's such an anger. It's like, well, you either support my group or I'll condemn you. That's where we're at for a lot of people. And I think what happens is when you do that, if you're trying to look for support, you're not going to find it. No one is going to support you when you're acting like that. And then you're going to get even angrier because you're going to wonder why nobody's supporting you. Like, what's the matter? What, don't you believe in my cause? It's like, not when you treat people like that. No, they're not going to believe in your cause because you've angered them. You've insulted them. And I have people who do that, who go through this whole rhetoric with me, insult me, attack me personally, any way they can, up and down. And then when I don't want to know information about their group or about what they believe in, then it's like, what? You don't want to know about my group? It's not that I don't want to know about your group. It's just like, I don't want to have anything to do with you because of the way you've treated me. It's so disrespectful. And again, I don't understand why we can't have a civil conversation with each other that doesn't involve name calling and just putting people down in general. I don't get it. And then the favorite thing to do on Twitter is like, and Facebook too. I'll just block you. And people say things derogatorily, and then they run, and then they block you. And then they go and they spread gossip to everybody else about you and what you've done, and try to hurt you. Hurting me is not going to help you. It'll make you hurt more when you carry around that much hate for somebody. And I'll tell you, there's not a single person out there that I hate. I don't care how you treat me, what you say to me, how you talk down to me or whatever. I don't hate you. I may be disappointed in what you've done, but I don't hate you. You know why I don't hate you? Because I don't know you. I don't know you. I have no idea if what you said to me was something that you said because you were hurting something you said because some tragedy that just happened in your family. I have no idea. Do I accept it? Do I say it's okay? Absolutely not. It's not okay. But I don't hate you for it. But I'm not going to try to have a quote unquote relationship with you on social media after that, because it's not worth my time. I don't want to be in an environment filled with hate where my time is spent fighting other people on social media. And I have to admit, I get to a point sometimes where it's like, I can't even believe that. And I don't think I've ever been rude to people, but I certainly am not, I don't know, not as cordial perhaps as I could be. But I mean, it's getting to the point where if you tell people what the actual facts are, it's like they come after the messenger. If they don't like something, they come after you for telling them what the truth is, and then they try to deny that's what the truth is. Hey, you know what? Something is written in black and white. It's there. I can't do anything about that. I can't change it. Maybe you can work to change something that you don't like, but why blame me for what's written there, for something I didn't do? I mean, again, and it makes no sense, but it makes sense only in the fact that somebody is angry and they don't know how to deal with their anger, so they're looking for somebody to take it out on. I mean, that's all it is. And I get that. I understand it. It doesn't excuse it. And if you are one of those people, and if I'm one of those people, we need to work on those issues. We need to see what we're doing. We need to see the damage that we do. And it's not just to the person that you're doing it to. Because believe me, if you're a person that, let's say a lot of people follow you, or you persuade a lot of people, you have a lot of influence, you're going to negatively impact potentially everybody in that group, and then potentially beyond that group. And if somebody could get something of value from the person that you're berating, they're not going to in the future, because they're going to be so turned off by what they think is going on, and by the fact that you didn't do anything to change the tone or the tenor of the conversation. You and I and everybody else, we have a lot of impact in what our words are and what we say. And we need to be aware of that. And nobody's perfect. Human beings are not perfect. And I'm sure that I say things to offend people. I don't intentionally do that. And if I've done that and you've ever been offended, I am truly sorry about that. I really am. Because it's not my intent to cause anybody to feel bad about themselves or anything else. But you know what? Again, I'm human, and I'm going to make mistakes just like you are. But I do try to look and see what I'm saying. I do try to listen to what I'm saying to make sure that I'm not doing things that will intentionally do harm to other people. And all I'm asking for people, and I know that all you're asking for, is just mutual respect. That's it. Don't hide behind your social media and take things out on everybody. It's not helping you. It's not helping the situation. It's not helping the world. It's not making it a better place for you or for anyone else. And again, we all just need to be aware of what it is that we do and how much we influence people, whether we know that we do or not. And I wanted to share that with you today because, again, as I see things getting worse and worse on social media in particular, it saddens me to see where we're going. And I think that in some respect, social media is a reflection of what it's really like out there. And of course, it's kind of in a bubble in some respects. And what always gets me is that, you would never talk to somebody face to face like people do on social media. I mean, they just feel so entitled to talk to people any way they want because they know that you don't know them, that they're hiding behind, whatever profile picture they come up with and whatever name. Sometimes it's true name, sometimes not. Sometimes it's not even the real name or a name at all. So let's just, take a deep breath, chill a little bit. Let's try to make this world a better place. I mean, let's join hands now. Here we go. We're going to be singing Kumbaya. I don't want to go there, but let's try to make it better for everyone and not discourage people. Encourage or be an encourager of people to bring people. We're all suffering from one thing or the other. We really and truly are. We all have our things that are happening in life that we have to deal with. Let's remember that everybody else is going through the same thing. And again, as human beings, we are going to make mistakes. I am. I make mistakes. I will in the future. But I hope that when people do that, they will reflect about what's happened, what they've done, and what they may have done, and take a look at that and see, is there something I should have done better? Is there something that I can do differently in the future? I tell people, I did this the other day when somebody was writing just the ugliest comments to people. It wasn't even directed at me. I just happened to find these people talking, and it was just ugly. And I said, I can't believe the comments that I'm seeing here, because these are the same things, the comments you tell your children not to do. And you wouldn't allow your children to do this. You would tell them that, that's wrong. Don't ever let me catch you doing that again. And when I said to the people that were leaving the comments, I said, why don't you write all your comments as though your children were seeing them? Write them that way. And if you're happy with it, that your children could see the comments that you're making, then great. Leave it. But if you're not happy about it, if you wouldn't allow your children to do that, to say those things, if you wouldn't allow your children to see those things, then how can you say it's okay for you to write those comments? You're a hypocrite then. You're a hypocrite with your children then. You can't correct your children and tell them they shouldn't be like that when mom or dad are doing the same thing that you tell them not to do. This world, there's so many battles in this world. Let's not make social media and how we treat each other one more battle that people have to deal with in their lives. And I know some of you listening to this, you won't care. And okay, great. I appreciate your listening. You don't have to agree with me. I'm all right with that. And I truly wish you the best. But those who are listening with what I'm saying and can understand and identify with that, let's try to spread that when we talk to people on Twitter and Facebook and anywhere else. Let's try again to build people up instead of choosing to break them down. We're better than that. In other news, I'm sure you read about how the Saudis have threatened basically to sell off approximately $750 billion in U.S. assets, including our Treasury securities, if Congress passes a bipartisan bill that will allow United States citizens who are injured or lost family members on 9/11 to file lawsuits against foreign countries, which also includes Saudi Arabia. I don't know, the thing that bothers me the most, that bothers me, that the Saudis would threaten us. And they know they can get away with it. Why is that? Because, our president has gone on an apology tour for the past 8 years. And, of course, countries like Saudi Arabia now, who are supposedly our allies, feel that they can say anything they want to us and get away with it because they can. But what bothers me is it's been almost 15 years, and we're still wondering, can relatives sue for the loved ones that they lost? Can people who were injured in 9/11 sue for their injuries? 15 years later, and we haven't even gotten to the point of saying whether they can or cannot sue. And I don't know if you remember but back in June of 2015, there was very little fanfare about this. But Senator Rand Paul and Senator Bob Graham and other bipartisan members of Congress, along with the representatives of the 9/11 families, announced that they had introduced a bill to declassify 28 pages from the original Joint Congressional Inquiry into 9/11. And again, as I said, it was just, here we are last year, we're 14 years away from 9/11. And we're just now getting around to saying, oh, should we declassify those 28 documents, those 28 pages? And we're having to bring a bill to try to get them declassified and unsealed 14 years later. And Barack Obama is not the only one that has had to deal with this question. In fact, George Bush decided, we can't unseal those 28 pages. It's a matter of national security, and it'll cause a lot of problems. But now, Barack Obama has reportedly been applying heavy pressure on Congress to kill the bipartisan bill. And I don't know, in my opinion, so far it looks like he's doing pretty well and he's winning. And he's going to have to make a decision by June of whether or not to unseal those documents. And of course, we have the doublespeak coming out from the Obama administration saying, rather than entertain, this is when they ask, is he going to veto the bill if passed by Congress? Their response was, rather than entertain a hypothetical, we believe there needs to be more careful consideration of the potential unintended consequences of its enactment before proceeding with legislation. Yeah, did you understand any of that? I mean, you have to go back and kind of decipher what was said. And then they said, we would welcome opportunities to engage with the Congress on that discussion. In other words, in my opinion, in typical Obama administration speak, my interpretation is that Obama will veto the bill. He's not going to want any information that comes out to in any way imply that Saudi Arabia could have been involved in 9/11. And, my questions that I ask is, why has all of this about the bill and Saudi Arabia's reaction come to light now? And how many of us even knew that Congress was still working on such a bill since 9/11, because it's been so long ago? And perhaps, we just assumed that the issue had gone away. Seriously. But anyway, getting back to it, the real reason that this is happening right now is that it coincides with Obama's decision to either declassify the 28 pages pertaining to 9/11 or to keep them sealed. And as I said, he has until June to decide that. And the declassifying the sealed documents could open Saudi Arabia up to multiple lawsuits and mega bucks in judgments. That could hurt them financially, in the event that the documents show that there was any Saudi connection. And if Congress doesn't get the bill passed, then Americans won't be able to proceed against the Saudis. It's as simple as that. And allowing the Americans to sue, as I said, it just means that the Saudis are on the hook for billions. And what better way to avoid any implications and loss of funds than to denounce the bill and warn the United States that, hey, you know what? We'll pull billions in assets if you try to screw with us, and hope that the Congress will buckle to the threat, because they watch like we do, and they see how Congress buckles to just about everything that the president says, right? So why not buckle to something else? It's what they do. It's something that Americans have become used to. So why doesn't the rest of the world? Why wouldn't we expect them to have become used to the buckling that we do so much of? Now, some may perceive this as a bold move from an ally. You don't expect Saudi Arabia to kind of threaten the United States. But what could possibly make them take this course of action with the United States? That's what I wanted to know. Was it because they just know that our own president talks down about the United States? Is it that they know that we're probably going to go along with anything they say? Is that the real reason? And if so, what truly are the reasons, though, if it's something else? Well, I think there are a couple of reasons that come to mind, but there's one that I think hasn't really been discussed. And here's what I want to know. Is it possible that Obama struck a deal with the Saudi king in late 2015? For example, did he promise not to release the 28 pages and pressure Congress not to pass legislation that could be detrimental for Saudi Arabia in exchange for the Saudi king's support of Obama's nuclear deal with Iran? It hasn't been that long ago. You may recall back when we were talking about that dreaded deal that we made with Iran, that Obama wanted to convince Saudi Arabia at that point, the king, to get on board with his Iran nuclear deal. And at first the king was all for the Iran deal. And then you may recall he withdrew his support and was later convinced by Obama to once again support it after receiving assurances from Obama about his ability to put safeguards in place. So now what I want to know is, are the families of the 9/11 victims paying the price for an Obama deal? Is a possible deal also why the Secretary of State, John Kerry, said in February that the proposed bill, the one that Congress has proposed last year, would expose the United States of America to lawsuits and take away our sovereign immunity and create a terrible precedent? Were his words an accurate description of what could happen, or just words to back the agreement with the Saudis that he may have had? We may never know the answers, but what you can be assured of is that Obama may be bowing just a little lower when he greets King Salman and other Saudi officials. And it's supposed to be Wednesday, which is Wednesday's already passed in Saudi Arabia. So during his scheduled visit, and Obama will most likely have a lot of explaining to do to the Saudi king when he gets there. So look for that to occur. And again, my thoughts on the whole thing are that there's no way that he's going to unseal those documents. He's got an excuse. Well, George Bush didn't. Why should I? Everything usually is blamed on George Bush about something that's negative. So he can just say, well, gosh, this time we'll turn that around and say something positive for George Bush. He didn't let those documents be unsealed. Why should I? If he thought there was a national security risk, if one president felt that way, why should this president feel any different? And as I mentioned before, and I jokingly said, the only thing that I can, and I mentioned this in my shorter version of Knowles on the News. I do a 10-minute segment for someone else. It goes on their website and is rebroadcast. I said, if anything, if he releases anything, it will be a redacted version of what's in those 28 pages. And I said, have you ever seen a redacted version that has only maybe 4 words on the page? All the other words have been cut out. There's like a hole that you could stick your arm or head through because there are no words there. It's just an empty cutout page with 4 words that says, and not even in a row, just randomly on the page, that says Saudi Arabia is innocent. I know it sounds ridiculous, but really, would you find it ridiculous these days? Seriously, I wouldn't. I would say, between all of my emails weren't classified because the word classified was taken off of them, even though I knew or should have known the information was classified. If that's okay and everybody believes that, then why wouldn't they just accept a document that had all holes in it except 4 words that doesn't implicate Saudi Arabia in any way, even though 15 of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 were from where? Saudi Arabia. And Osama bin Laden was too. But, I'm sure that doesn't mean anything. It's just a coincidence. So we can't jump to conclusions. It is beginning to get more bizarre out there, folks. That's all I can tell you. Just more and more bizarre. Now, looking at other news and news concerning the election, there's an article out about the Republicans' plan for electronic floor voting at contested convention. Oh, what do you think about that? I mean, any time that we have electronic voting, there's always somebody that comes out and says, it's been hacked, it's been changed, something's happened, on and on and on. And I don't know. I know we've had hanging chads in the past, and that wasn't good. But the electronic voting in Cleveland seems to me something that's going to perhaps present a lot of issues. And a lot of people saying, oh, that was unfair. Trump was cheated, and it's not going to work. I don't know. It's gonna be one of those things where you just wish that Cleveland was over and done with, and we could just move on. This election process really it's been like the longest election process of my life. It's something that I just can't even fathom that it's going to ever end. We're going to be stuck in this nightmare of accusations flying back and forth about the candidates, and then who's going to beat Hillary, who's not going to beat Hillary, why is Hillary still running, why isn't Hillary in jail, questions like that. But anyway, it says, facing the prospect of its first contested convention in 4 decades, the Republican Party is exploring the possibility of using electronic voting in Cleveland. It's still undergoing testing. Isn't that great? I mean, how many people are going to say, oh, well, during the testing process, they put something in there that only allows for a vote for one particular candidate or the other. I mean, it's coming. I was watching this thing several weeks ago, and I wish I knew exactly what it was, but it was another type of electronic voting system where they were trying to prove that it had been rigged. And it showed that these people, what they put down on their cards, to vote, their ballots, and an expert who, handled these type of things came in, and he had put something in the little voting machine where the votes would come out the way he wanted them to, despite what the ballot said, what the ballot card said. And sure enough, I mean, if this was true, if this wasn't doctored in some way for, people on the video, these people put down, let's say, yes on their ballot card, and they put it through the machine, and it came out no. And they did this for about 5 different people. So you're going to tell me that somebody is not going to make that accusation in Cleveland, because you know that they will. You know that it's coming. So anyway, the electronic system, which is still undergoing testing, could end the convention tradition of voice votes or state-by-state roll calls using microphones spread through the convention floor. Okay, so why do we need something different? Isn't it better to have someone exactly say, right face-to-face, right there where everybody can hear it, yes or no, yay or nay? Seems to me that if you do that, there's less confusion and less ability for anyone to say that somebody did something wrong. Makes sense, right? So why are we changing that now? Do I believe that somebody wants to steal the convention? No, I don't. I really don't. But there's always a possibility that somebody might go in there and try to do something stupid. I mean, that's always a possibility. And I think this just sets it up once more for the GOP to be divided. We'll still be, fighting with each other about whether or not the nomination was rigged. And I think it'll be more, if Donald Trump doesn't win, then it will be, it was rigged. And to avoid that type of controversy, why not just do what we've always done, which is have people on a microphone that says yes or no. Let all of us at the same time hear what that person had to say. They said provisions for electronic voting have been in the party rules for several conventions, but it has never been deployed in practice. Again, every time that I've seen voting take place, I think in California we used to have electronic voting, and there were some rumors about, okay, well, that was hacked, somebody did something, whatever, and we went back to the paper again. I don't even trust the paper, really. I mean, just because you put your ballot in the box doesn't even mean that it's going to get there. And we've had accusations like that. You've heard accusations like that. I don't know how you make a voting process foolproof. I don't know if you can. No system is perfect. But I think the near perfect system in something like this is just have people speak into a microphone and say yes or no. Because you can't really get that wrong. You can try, but the people who are sitting there on the convention floor will know what that person said. You could go back later and you could edit a video and say, oh, no, they really said no when they meant yes. But you can't change it when the people that are sitting there live. The organizers of the Republican National Convention and staff members of the Republican National Committee have settled on a Texas-based digital firm, Pixel, to provide the potential voting system in hopes of speeding up and ensuring the accuracy of procedural votes on the convention floor, a spokesman said. Again, you can't get it any faster than somebody saying yes or no into a microphone. Members of the RNC's Committee on Arrangements will receive a briefing and a hands-on demonstration. Woohoo! Wow, if they're getting a hands-on demonstration, you know nothing could go wrong. And representatives of the campaign will have the opportunity to test it out as well. Oh, so you're telling me that if you test it out now, there's not going to be allegations that it was somehow changed in between times. I mean, come on. There's going to be allegations. That's all there is to it. It said, under current RNC rules, the system couldn't be used for the nominating votes for the presidential and vice presidential nominees. But two members of the Committee on Arrangements said if the demonstrations proved successful, they would consider amending the bylaws to allow electronic balloting in all instances, which would streamline the process should the presidential nomination go to several ballots. Warning, Will Robinson, danger ahead. I mean, I can see this just being a catastrophe, but what do I know? It said in previous conventions, contentious rules and credential issues had been handled by voice vote, sometimes by time-consuming roll calls. Yes, the old time-consuming roll calls, as if there was anything that you had to do at a convention other than put together who it is that you were going to vote for and then say it. Okay, that's what, I mean, isn't that kind of what the convention's all about, to get to that moment where there's a roll call and we decide who it's going to be? What's wrong with the tradition? So it takes a little bit longer. Okay, I'm all for modern equipment, the internet, digital, and any other thing. But when you're coming down to something like this in such a hotly contested issue that we're finding ourselves in right now, why would you risk that now? What is it that the RNC is really trying to do? And again, I know some of you out there are going to say, oh, they're trying to steal the convention. They're trying to steal the nominee. They're trying to make Ted Cruz a president instead of Donald Trump, or they're going to put in Paul Ryan. Okay, I mean, you could be right. But I just think, let's look at what other things they could be doing. I think what they're going to be doing is they don't want people to really hear what an actual human being is going to have to say. Because if they do that, then the human being they may be intimidated, they may not speak up, they may not say what they really feel. And that way we won't have truly what they feel. Or we don't want, the RNC doesn't want fallout on the person who made a decision that somebody else didn't agree with. Well, yeah, that may be true, but I mean, if you're going to do something like this, I guess you have to know that occasionally, there are going to be people that don't like it and say something about it. We can only hope, as I mentioned in my opening, that there is respect going back and forth, but I don't know what I've seen lately. There's not too much respect going around, and maybe the convention is going to be a place where you see a lot less respect. I don't know. But I really just don't think that it's a good process right now. It said in previous conventions, contentious rules and credentials issues have been handled by voice vote and sometimes by time-consuming roll calls, as I mentioned. The new system, in theory, would allow the convention to count votes accurately without the time necessary for additional roll call. Officials emphasize that they are still working through security and technical challenges. There you go. There you go. That's all you need to know. That's all anybody's going to remember. That there's technical challenges and security issues that we needed to look at into ashore. And that's where everybody's going to point a finger right there. Oh my gosh, they've done something to the system. They said they had security and technical issues they needed to work on. And a final decision on whether to use it will come in the coming weeks. Oh, I can hardly wait. Really, I can hardly wait. With advancements in technology, we are taking steps to see if electronic voting can be successful for procedural votes at the convention. Why not? If we can answer several questions from technology to security and be sure we can be successful, they're going to use it. Well, didn't like a few weeks ago, back in April 1st, I remember Anonymous telling Donald Trump that they were going to hack his computer system. And I know that we don't ever hear a follow-up to things like that in the news because, it would be considered news and we just can't tell people the news anymore. We don't want them to know certain things, so we'll not tell you the truth. We'll just hide those facts. But anyway, some people have said, they did hack the system. I don't know how bad it was, whatever. So here again, I can see somebody saying, well, you know what? There's going to be accusations that Anonymous came in there and Anonymous did what they wanted to do and they don't like Donald Trump, so that's what happened. I really seriously would love to know your opinions on that, what you think about it. Do you think this is a smart idea? Do you think this is something that we should even be considering right now at a time when this is so hotly contested? I can't think of one good reason. Yes, time consuming, okay. Is that enough to make us say, okay, we're switching over. We're going to do this electronically now, and that's all there is to it. We don't care that there are accusations. We don't care that there are issues. We're going to go ahead and do what we want to do. Why? Because in the past, however many years it's been, this roll call is time consuming. Oh, I'm not buying this. I don't like this. I think it is a setup for a lot of issues. Again, I'm not claiming. But I honestly, I just can't see how this is going to work out. I hope I'm wrong. And more than that, I hope they don't decide to use it. I really hope that they say, you know what, we've thought about this and wanting an air of on the side of we want transparency. We're not even gonna. We're just gonna put that on the back burner where I'll think about it the next time. And we'll see if we can use it then. But until then, we're just going to leave well enough alone. Think they'll do that? It is the GOP. In other news, I read something today, and I was hoping it was satire. I'm still hoping it's satire. Because, sometimes things seem so real, and you find out it's really just a satire article that you've been reading or a satire website or whatever. And I want to believe it, but I don't think it is. Unfortunately, I think this is true. It starts out, I don't know about you, but if there's one thing that's always bugged me about eating in restaurants, it's having to wear clothes. Why stain them when you can imbibe as the Romans might, naked with sauce and wine spilling all over your body? It's presumably the gap in the market, the Bunyadi, Bunyadi, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong, is hoping to fill a pop-up restaurant that's coming to London this summer for 3 months. Oh, wow. They have to put it in the summer because you'd freeze to death, right? And otherwise, if you were in London and you want to, hey, let's go to the naked restaurant. What are you wearing? Well, I'm not wearing anything. Well, but it's cold outside. Well, I guess we can't go. So if you make it in the summer, you can go there in, shorts and a t-shirt, right? You don't have much to take off. And you can go there and you can just eat in the nude. Wouldn't that be great? I mean, I can't think of anything that would just make your appetite just like, oh man, I'm so hungry, I want to go to the naked restaurant. Because it always helps my appetite when I go there. I think there might be a lot of people who just want to go to look, but I think you're going to be disappointed, and I seriously don't know how you're going to kind of eat in those circumstances. Especially if you're being very naturalistic and nobody's wearing deodorant, nobody's taking a bath, maybe. I don't know. But I can tell you, in San Diego, there's a place that's called Black's Beach. And this was years ago. I don't know if it's still like this today. I think it is, but I don't really know. And it's illegal to do what they do there, but they did it anyway. And that is people nude sunbathing. So they do nude sunbathing there. As a teenager, I'm like, well, I want to go there. I want to see what's happening. I've never been to a place like that. I grew up in the South. We don't have nude beaches. And so I don't know how old I was. Like I said, I was a teenager and decided to go there and went with somebody else. And I did not take my clothes off. But I wanted to see everybody else. Like, hey, how are you? And I just remember going there and really not being too able to kind of look people in the eye or anywhere else because I had my head down the whole time. But one of the things that just I remember can't get out of my head was there was a man who was, let's just say, terribly overweight, and he was sitting on a rock. And he was nude. And the last thing that I would have done would be to, I don't know, set a table placement next to him and just have lunch. It wasn't a thought that came to my mind. My thoughts were, why did I come here and I'm never coming here again? It was quite an experience. I would not be one of those people that went to the London restaurant. Now, maybe that's just, closed-minded of me, but that's just me. I'm not going to go there because if I go to a restaurant, the purpose for me is to go there and actually get something to eat that I'm going to eat. I'm not going to go there and not be able to eat because I'm looking around at naked body parts in front of me. But they're offering other things, though. They have you're free from phones there, so you're not going to be able to use your phone. You're free from electric lights, so I guess we're just going to have ambiance. And clothing is optional. So if you're like me and you want to keep your clothes on, but you really want to go there, I guess you can just keep your clothes on. And they said, we'll revisit the beginning where everything was fresh, free, and unadulterated from the trappings of modern life. I kind of like modern life in a lot of respects. I really do. I don't know how they're going to cook your food if it's all modern life. I mean, if you're free from modern life, what are you going to do? You're going to dig a pit out back? Is it barbecue? What exactly? How are you going to make my food? And more importantly, if you're making my food, are you going to be naked while you're making my food? You're going to wear an apron? Because I tell you, I don't want things in my food that I'm not expecting. Really, I don't. The restaurant was named after a Hindi term for base or natural. And we'll have a naked and non-naked section. So if you want to go just to see, perhaps you can just go, I want to sit in the non-naked section, please. And you can go there. And then, I don't know, maybe you want to go for dessert. You'll want to go over to the naked section. If you're feeling bold, maybe you can just hop on over there and have some dessert. I don't know what you would be eating, kind of dessert. I guess it doesn't really matter, but just go on over there. And they're not clear yet what kind of food is going to be served, although there will be food. They're just not clear. I don't know. What would you offer? What do you think would be appropriate in a restaurant like that where you're naked? I mean, you want a heavy meal, something that requires a lot of time and effort to put together. I don't know. Do you want something more simple, more naked? Maybe something that you just throw on a piece of lettuce and eat. Maybe that would fit more in line with the theme of the restaurant. I don't know. But the idea is to experience true liberation. Okay. It says, we have worked very hard to design a space where everything patrons interact with is bare and naked. Okay, so that I guess that means the waiters and the cooks could very possibly be naked, and the person who takes the cash from you, and if there's a bar, they're going to be naked too. The use of natural bamboo partitions and candlelight has enabled us to make the restaurant discreet while adhering to the ethos behind it. Wow, candles. And bamboo, yeah. It says, no doubt this has been the most challenging project for us yet, which makes us very excited about it. Okay, and my questions are, thoughts that come to my head, what about children? Is there going to be an age limit there, like can't take children, which in the United States you wouldn't be able to do? And then is that, crossing the line here when you're putting children in an environment like that? I don't know. It seems like in our everything goes type society, you might be able to get away with that, and that would be perfectly fine. I'm not sure. But I don't think that I'm going to be one of those people. Sorry. I think that I will just eat someplace else. Thank you very much. Now, in other news, it's just been announced that Harriet Tubman is going to be placed on the $20 bill, and she's going to replace Andrew Jackson. And she, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with who she was, she's a 19th century African-American abolitionist. And I guess, this will be the first time that a woman is on a bill, and the first time that a president isn't on the bill, and the first time that an African-American is on the bill, to my knowledge. So, what do you think about that? Are you in favor of replacing presidents with other people who, obviously weren't presidents? Is it time that we do that on our bills and move forward? Is it time that we go back to all of them? And here's another question. Should we not just look at presidents from the past? Should we include presidents from the past, 20, 30, 40 years, something like that? Or should the money just be with more the founding fathers and people long ago? I think that's probably another question. I don't know. For me, I don't even know if I want anybody on the bill. Maybe we don't need people on the bills at all. I never thought of that. Could we put things on there that may have significance? Maybe, buildings, White House, scenery, and just do only that, or have something, some other designation. I'm not sure where all of it got started, how we came up with it, why that we did what we did with the bills, and does it have the same significance today? Is it really important? And apparently, we're not the ones that really decide that. It's the Treasury Department, I guess, that does. And should they be the ones who decide that? Should it be something that the American public is given a say in? After all, I know it's the federal government who makes those bills, but it's our money, right? It's our currency. Should we not have a say? And maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not even important. Maybe if we don't care, we don't have a say. I'm not sure. And if you're up for just starting to slowly replace whoever's on different bills right now, do you have anybody else in mind? Who should be replaced next? Should we have? I don't know. I don't know if they're going to put more if they're going to make more changes right now. I mean, there have been rumors that there are going to be more changes, but I don't know that that's true or not. But it seems like, I don't know, in some ways in 2016 and beyond, you think that you would maybe, for something like that, it's not like, we're changing the Constitution, but should we sort of modernize what we have on our currency? And even what we have on our coins. And how much longer? Here's the other question. How much longer are they going to allow us to have dollar bills and other bills and currency, paper and paper and coin currencies? I mean, are we really going to be able to use those? Or are we going to eventually move towards electronic interaction with cash instead of cash? We're just going to have a card, and that's going to be our cash. And then we can put, like, draw any picture on there you want. Feel free. Take some tape and put anybody on there you want. Here's your card. Now be happy. You never know where we're headed in this society. Again, it's just so seemingly out of control in so many ways these days that putting something else on a dollar bill, some paper currency, is probably not going to matter for a very long period of time. So maybe it isn't even worth our consideration. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's all I can say. Each week it's a little bit more interesting on where we're going as a country, where we're going as human beings, and how we treat each other. I hope this week for you is a very positive one. I hope your interactions with everyone you meet and talk to are the best interactions that you've ever had. And I hope that there is encouragement coming your way and happiness in your life that overshadows any type of darkness in your life. And I sincerely mean that for each and every one of you. I think that we all need a little break sometimes. We need to have good news. We need to share great things with each other and realize that we have more in common than we have things that are dissimilar. We really do. We are all going through struggles. They may all be different at times, but we are all human beings and we're all connected. Like it or not, we're connected in more ways than we realize. And I think if we just keep that in mind, that we are connected, that we're human beings, we're connected by that, if nothing else. We're human beings, that we're not all alike, but we're all very similar in so many ways. And if we keep that focus rather than looking and see why somebody doesn't agree with us or how we're different from that other person, and so therefore we just can't possibly like that other person. No, that's not the way that we should view things. It's not the way that we come together, and it's not the way that we all find happiness with ourselves, with each other, and make this a better place. We really do need to make this a better place. It needs to be something that we all want to do, and that we all come together and try to bring people along and build them up with us. Makes for a better place. It makes for a better life. It's a lot less stress and tension. I don't know about you, but I think this world right now is filled with the most tension that I've ever seen. And I personally would like to see a lot less of it. I want to be the person in your life that encourages you. I want this show and my Stand for Truth Radio to be a place that you come to, that you find out answers, and that you're encouraged to go out and do things on your own, whether it's support a cause or spread the word about the program. Whatever it is that you want to do, let's all work together towards being a positive force rather than a negative one. And again, we all have our setbacks. We're going to slide. But I know you, just like me, we want to be that positive force in somebody else's life and in the lives of our country as well, and in general. So I hope that you have a great week. I hope that it's already started out to be a wonderful one. I hope something really important and unusual happens for you this week that is a really, really positive thing, and that you benefit from it greatly, and that those around you benefit as well. So until next time, thank you so much for listening So glad that you're here with me. And until next time, take care of yourself. God bless you. It's Susan Knowles with Knowles on the News.